Get focused, America. Get focused. Get focused. All right, it's another excerpt of Sports is Fixed. But, we're going to cover and give my opinion on why or why shouldn't we pay student athletes. But first, I'm going to listen to the Herd, Colin Hurd. I think that's his first name because I like this guy. He seems to be pretty real. And the people who are on his show, I like the atmosphere he creates. But before, I do my thing, we're going to listen to this guy.
Some of these colleges have $16 million scoreboards, just like the cat that gets Botox or the gold plated aquarium. They've got smoothie bars. They've got, it's ridiculous now. These college football programs, the big ones, they don't even know what to do with the money. They're giving Botox to their cats. They don't even know what to, arcade centers, $25 million on a scoreboard. They don't know what to do with the money. So I had a tipping point moment yesterday, and a tipping point
scoreboard
is, Malcolm Gladwell wrote the book about tipping points. That's when there's a magic moment when an idea, trend, social behavior sort of crosses a threshold in America and catches fire, wildfire, right? And here's a tipping point moment for those that think you shouldn't pay the college athletes. And I was always under the impression that for the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 90s, 2000, a lot of these athletic departments weren't Ohio State. Yesterday, the USA Today reported that the SEC alone, just the SEC conference, posted revenue of $527 million during the first year of the SEC network. Okay, time to give the cat Botox.
$527 million.
It's time to now pay players.
Just the SEC.
Now, I don't know how you do it exactly, a stipend for every athlete, because you'll have to pay all the athletes. You have to pay all of them. Maybe $237 a month a week for the athletes. Then for the transcendent guys, the Cam Newtons, the Johnny Manziels, the Tebows, the Reggie Bushes, they get a big check when they're out. I don't know how you do the amateur professional status thing. I don't know. I don't know with Title IX. I don't have all the answers. But I'm not stubborn. I change my mind because the opposite of stubborn is evolving and growing, and I don't want to be stunted. Even people who you see as sort of stubborn, Nick Saban, when he hires offensive coordinators now, they speed up the tempo, they spread the ball out. I'll never be a stubborn, rigid guy. If you can prove me, if you can show me, if you can tipping point something, okay, I'm in. We have gotten to a point with college football now when an individual conference network made $530 million, when Washington State, Kansas State, and Oregon State can build $40 million weight rooms, there's enough money out there.
Yeah, there is. Okay, so let's talk about that. All right. I was never a superstar college athlete. I ran track. Yeah, no big deal. Although there are, even if you want to talk about that, anything that brings eyeballs to your school, it brings revenue to your school. And that's just a fact. I don't care if it's badminton. If it brings a crowd to your school because of your athleticism, especially if your name gets out there that you're like the number one badminton team in the conference, then guess what? There should be some type of compensation now, or compensation. Now, here's the issue. You look okay for one. It's a how do you pay them, and then there's I think there's a moral issue going on there. Now, morally, I think it's wrong to exploit anyone. Now, what we're seeing with the NCAA and any other conference, what we're, at basketball, or when and then when you're looking at football and all the other conferences and all that together, whatever the acronyms are, you're looking at, for one, Ohio State has 60,000 people go to that school. They make crazy money. Plus, they get endorsements and they get money from the state, period, because they're a state school, and so on and so forth. When I went to college, I went to a private school, and I go to a private school now. But when I was an athlete, I started off in a private school. we had scholarships for track, and then the track program went away because the school was so small. I went to Talladega University for a few years. And then the track program was null and void. So I went out for baseball, but I was never any good at baseball. But I only did it because we ran out of money for track. Now that's a small HBCU school. Now I don't know what they're doing now, but I went 20 some odd years ago, but 22 to be exact, I think. But now when you're looking at some of these big schools and the conferences that they're in and the money that they bring, it's a ridiculous amount. I mean, this guy just said the conference bringing 527 million. I mean, the weight rooms are $40 million for a weight room. I mean, it's just ridiculous the amount of money that they bring in. So morally, I think that they owe those students money. Now, they can come back and say, hey, well, we give those students scholarship. And to go to school here, especially if you're out of state, I mean, a lot of schools that, Urban Meyer is looking at, a lot of these kids that he's looking at, they don't go to Ohio State. I mean, they are not Ohio residents. So, you have to pay more because you're not a resident of that particular state. So then when you're looking at tuition, and I don't know what the tuition is at Ohio State, I'm just using them as an example, but I don't know what the tuition is, but it's not as much as a private school, but still, nonetheless, it's a chunk of change for your parents to pay that much. So they're going, okay, well, let's just say that it costs, I don't know. You know what? I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and look up the tuition on Ohio State. Let me get my act together here so I can speak with more validity instead of hyperbole, and we can have a decent discussion. Okay, so cost of attendance for in-state. This is for in-state. Tuition and fees in-state is $10,037. For out-of-state is $29,229. For room and board, it's $11,666. For books and supplies, it's $1,234. And other expenses come to $2,600, somewhere around there. So there are some numbers for you. I mean, in-state, out-of-state. Cost of attendance, in-state, $25,539. Out-of-state, $44,731. So let's just say that the average football player he's not a hometown boy. He's out of state. That's $44,000 right there, almost $45,000 that his parents doesn't have to pay. So this is what the school is looking at. They're looking at, okay, you're not going to have to pay that $45,000, plus whatever goes with it, because they took real good care of Maurice Clarett, and and once that story got out, they showed how good they took care of him, and they take care of those basketball players, and all that other good stuff, and football players. They take real good care of them because they're winning, and they're bringing revenue in. So that's one way that they're paying him. Now, is $50,000, roughly, is that good enough to say that, okay, well, we're basically giving you $50,000 plus your little extra stuff on the side, and you have a chance to go to the pros through us. I mean, is that enough? Morally, no, that's not enough. The only reason why that's not enough is because you use their likeness. This is where I have a problem. You use their likeness for Madden football and other video games, and you don't ask their permission. That's their face on the front of Madden or in the Madden game, Madden college ball. That's their face. That's their money. Now I have an issue with that. Because if it was my face, even though I'm in college, I'd be like, why am I not getting a piece of that? Because I'm not going to be in college forever, but this game is going to be out there forever. Even though the next year's come out and it's some other kid on it, nonetheless, there's still revenue being made because of my image was on the one in 2016. And those are just the facts. And I got none of that. There's millions of dollars being made because people wanted to see me run or shoot a ball or whatever, kick a ball or whatever it was. Nonetheless, I got absolutely zilch. Like no. I think that anytime that any of these video games or anything that's not, how do I say, anything that's not directly school related, anything that's outside of the school that is a money making department outside of the school, but involved with the school, uh, uh, an entity that's not necessary for me to go to school and my education and to play the game. Any of those guys who are teething off my piece, yeah, I want some of that. And I believe that it's morally right for those kids to get a part of that. Because the university's making money off of that. These commercials, these ads, they're making money off of that. So any video game or anything like that that you got my face on it, I think you should pay me. That's just the way I feel about that. I mean, imagine what Johnny Manziel could have been making off of just advertising for him. I mean, come on. You think Texas A&M didn't make millions and millions and millions of dollars off of Johnny Manziel? Look. What if his parents didn't have that much money? What if this kid didn't have an opportunity to go to the pros? What if he got hurt before he got had an opportunity to go to Cleveland and fell out of Cleveland, the Browns? But nonetheless, he might end up coming back because he's still young. He's still talented. He just couldn't handle going to the pros. But I think he's gonna mature, come back, and he may be a hell of a quarterback. But what if he didn't have that? What if he got hurt? What if he got hurt in his senior year? Happens all the time. But nonetheless, he was the major draw for a lot of your tickets. Now, as far as ticket sales are concerned, you know, players aren't paying for the university's amenities. These players are not paying for that. I understand that. You give them a nice place to go to school. You give them a nice weight room. You give them a super dope stadium. I get that. But when you're making $527 million in one conference, there should be it should come in the form of, I guess, earnings. I mean, you would have to pay, and when I say earnings, I mean I guess what the kid's potential is. There should be a scale on what sport it is and what the kid is actually doing in the sport. I guess, I don't know. There should be some kind of pay bracket. It's just like, we get paid according to our skill set. When you come into the regular world, a doctor gets paid so much, a dock worker gets paid so much, and I'm almost looking at that type of thing. But then you have the whole what's fair and what's not fair. But I think once it's written down and it's legislated, then you have something to go with and say, not necessarily a running back does this, but a running back who performs at this level gets this. I don't know. Maybe that might be fair. Maybe it might not be fair. The thing about it is, even if you did that, that running back would have more incentive to perform because now they're getting paid. It could actually accelerate the game. That could cause some division. Money always causes division. But nonetheless, if you had that type of scale, a quarterback who is a Cam Newton, before, what I'm saying, a Tim Tebow, you know, those type of marquee guys, Andrew Luck, playing for the Spartans. I mean, those type of guys in college who just did so much for the team and for the sport. You don't tell those guys that they don't get no money. You don't. because other guys coming up see this. Now, of course, they get, there's a bunch of women at them, and there's money that they're getting, but they're getting it in a way that people are saying, oh, it's illegal to do that. You shouldn't be giving them that money. And I'm like, you should be giving them that money. It should still come as a scholarship type of basis, but it should be known that these kids are getting this because of what they're doing. Now, as far as the other student athletes, or just as far as, you're going to have a problem when it comes to other student athletes. So you're going to need a scale for all athletes. I'm talking Michael Phelps in college. I'm talking about Ryan Lockheed's goofy behind in college. I'm talking about Mark Spitz in college. If you don't know who Mark Spitz was, go look him up. He was one of the first guys to ever do it when it came to swimming. But I'm talking about the guys who are out there, in the row team, all that, anything that brings revenue to the school. There should be some type of scale that gives them an extra scholarship fund for performance. That way, it's within the confines of the school, and it's morally right, and it's legitimized to where you can say performance based on the sport you do and how you did. This is the incentive that you get. Now, another problem will come in as far as the school is concerned. Because, like I said, I went to a very small college. My track program shut down. We didn't even have a football team. So when kids like me during that time would see this, and and it's already happening, you want to go to the big schools, the Division Ones, and you want to go to those schools because of what they're doing. And there's such a huge difference between a Division 1 football team and a football team that's struggling, Division 3 or 5 or whatever it is. There's such a huge difference in the players because you just can't afford. You can't afford to recruit, the big guys who are playing for these high schools and the fastest kid in the nation. Listen, the fastest known kid that came out of high school is Brumell. He is the fastest sprinter there was. And where did he go, to Baylor? I don't even know if he went to Baylor. I think he went right into the pros. But nonetheless, Baylor Bears are notorious for having, really fast people as far as college is concerned. But I couldn't imagine Brumell going to a HBCU and if he decided to do that or had the option, which of course he did, scholarships all day. He ran a 9.98. He's the fastest male, the fastest female kid in high school. This is high school we're talking about, is Hill, a young lady named Hill. I forgot what her first name is, but she ran a 10.98 in the 100. So she's the fastest female. So she's got scholarship options all day. But a smaller college, she might look at a smaller college and say, hey, I want to go there just to go there, because some star athletes did start off at a smaller college. And what's his name? I already mentioned him earlier. Plays for the quarterback that plays for the I don't remember his name. Anyway, he started off at a JUCO, and then Florida State got him, and then he went to Florida State, and then he ended up, in the NFL. I'm looking at his doggone face. Plays for the Panthers, the quarterback. Anyway, so he started off at a JUCO, and it was just it was like playing with children. And then he went ahead. Florida State got him, but they so-called paid him $185 $100,000 twice. Now, you got that situation, but they said that was illegal. And I'm like, not so much. So I don't know, you guys. You guys tell me what you think, but this is just me trying to figure it out. But I think you should pay the athletes. It's your boy Tone 202.